Hello, 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 and welcome to our May Fearless story. I am so excited about the opportunity to have this conversation with my sister. This is going to be amazing. So, if you have not yet, connect with somebody, send it out, share it, make sure that it is a watch party so that we can multiply this conversation in multiple ways. Set up our watch party. Yes. All right. Yes. So we have some people in. Give us a high five. Let us know that you are in the place. Log in. Let us know that you're
I
here.
can't hear. I don't know
Oh,
what happened.
you can't hear me? Are you okay? Can you hear me, Kyla? No?
I can't hear.
Okay, so you log out and log back in, but I'm going to stay on.
Log out.
You go ahead. Yep.
Okay.
Jump back in.
Okay.
All right. We're having a little bit of difficulty with Kyla's connection, but we are going to stay true and moving forward as she logs out and logs back in. We'll give her a moment to jump back on. Here we go. You're back? All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Awesome. Here we go. Here we I am so excited for us to be able to jump into this conversation. My sister is back on and we are moving forward. We have fam in the place. Yes, people are logging in. Let us know that you are with us. We're looking good. Okay, we are in. Yes, I see you jumping on. Give me a wave. Let me know that all is okay on your end, that you are hearing us good. Yes, I see that wave. Thank you, Andrea. All right, we are ready to go. So, as I was sharing, I'm excited to have this conversation with my sister. Um, we were connected through WOW
Mm-hmm.
and Jones Memorial, but I have had the opportunity of us being in sister circles with the Breathe group and outside of that group. And so I have just grown to be in awe of your strength and your power and how God is continuing to use you. So I just want to give you an opportunity to share anything about yourself that you want to share with those who are following and listening.
Um, well, I always struggle talking about myself. I'm a mom, um, and I'm a grandma. I'm a yaya. Um, I am just faithfully fearless.
Mhm.
It took me a long time to get to this place. I don't know if anyone has read my blog from this morning that was posted, but um, words like worry and anxiety and depression were my labels
Mhm.
from the age of 10 until I was 47. And I am 2 weeks shy of being 49.
Yes.
And so this just the journey that I've had over these past 30 years, to be able to be where I am now and to
Mhm.
smile like this and to be a genuine smile, that's nothing but God. And reminding, and it's a reminder that I tell people, they'll say, "How did you do it?" I said, "This is what a kept woman looks like,
Mm,
because I've been kept by God."
yeah.
I've never been married, but my my husband, God, has kept me and preserved me through some stuff that would have taken me out. It could have, and it almost did, but God,
And
but
you know
God.
what? So one of the things that is so powerful for me in this conversation is that so the next book is Peace in the Middle of the Pieces. And as I read your blog, and I want everyone, the link to the blog is inside the show notes of today. The powerful thing about your story is even though things may not be perfect, you are consistently accessing peace. And
Yes.
that's really the purpose of the book, because life is never going to just be perfect.
No.
We have been promised to have trials. So it's not necessarily saying, you know what, Lord, I don't want any more trials. Lord, I want your peace
Yes.
to be able to have that peace in the middle of any
Yes.
pieces that happen.
Yes. Yes.
So I want you to share with us now. Don't go onto the blog.
No, I wasn't.
I want to make them read the blog.
Wasn't. I gave my one clip. That one clip. That's it.
Make them read the blog. I want to explore what words. So our focus for May is around the power of words. What are some words you would use to describe the season you're in now? And I want to also give everyone who is watching right now, I want you also right now to write down words that represent the season you're in right now. Just start writing down whatever first comes to mind. I don't want you to overthink it. What words would you use to describe the season that's representing right now for you? Write those words down. You don't have to put it in the comment box, but I do want you to think about what words you're picking. So everybody who's listening, that's your assignment in this moment right now. I want you to do it. And Kyla, I'm asking you, what words would you use to describe your season?
My season right now is I'm in a season of I'm fearless. um, I have joy. I have peace, and I have hope. And those are um, four important words for me, because there was a time where they did not exist in my vocabulary. They did not exist in my actions. They did not exist in my thoughts. They did not exist in me. I put on the front as though they did. We put on the facade um, to make it seem like we're those things, but it's actually a cover up for what I was really feeling inside. So today I can genuinely and authentically feel those words, and it feels so good.
Yes. And you know what? Those four powerful words. I want to now pause and have everyone who I just gave that assignment to look at the words you chose to write down or think about the words that came to mind. Because we do this activity in Fearless Conversations that says, whatever words you decide to use to describe your season, those words will either be the catalyst or the
Yeah.
chokehold to your future.
Yes.
Whatever words you are deciding to use right now to describe your season, they will either be the catalyst or they will be the chokehold to your next, to whatever is in front of you, to your
Mm.
destiny. And that's the power of words. And so that's also why it just resonates with me, the 4 words you've chosen. And I do that not to put blame or shame or guilt on anyone, but it's to have you pause and think more deeply about how are you describing the season you're in. So you have gone from some dark places in your blog to an entrepreneur, ministry leader, author. You just launched a whole Calm Creations line of products. I'm like, y'all better get. If you don't know, you better find out. But so what kind of words did you have to tell yourself in the process of coming from the place that you described in your blog to entrepreneur, author? I tell you, I can't wait because I ordered my Calm Creation products.
Yes.
I ordered mine. So I'm waiting for my order. How do you get to that place? What words do you tell yourself to move you from one place to the other?
One, I had to say I'm worth it. And I had to say I'm worth the push. I remember when I was going through working on losing weight, and I began to really like what I see, and I was like, wow, I was like, I'm worth this. I used to pour into so many other people, but I would never pour into myself. So I began to say, I'm worth it. You're worth this. This is for you. You're enough. I would always try to please people, especially my mom, because she was very tough on me, and I understand now. But I was always trying to please people, and that's still something I struggle with now.
Mm-hmm.
We just because we get to a better place doesn't mean we don't still struggle with things. It's just that because my thought process has changed, I don't stay there, and I allow the right words. And we touched on it yesterday. The right words to redirect me, because our words, like you say, they control, they dictate, they can pour into us or they can kill us. And a lot of times I was killing myself with my own words. And then that spilled out to me on my 3 daughters, and I was like, I don't want them to experience what I experienced. So you have to change.
Yes. Wow.
I change.
I heard recognize your worth and be willing to say it back to yourself. Acknowledge that you are enough in this moment. Yes, God can still work and use us and continue to put us, but how He's using you right now, there's not another version of you you're waiting for to show up. And then I love, because this is about legacy. This is about what are we leaving?
Yes.
And it's so powerful that our children will begin to adopt the words that we use on ourselves to tell their story.
Yes. God gave me 3 daughters, and I thought I was like, you got jokes, God. You really have. I was like, you gave me 3 just like me. And some ethic, like I was like, yeah, okay. But then I looked at it. My one is my mirror. And I'm so thankful for that mirror, because it helped me to see what I was and I didn't like it. So that I can look now, when I look in the mirror, and meaning at my children, I'm happy at the place that we are, because it could be so different. It could be, they could not want to be bothered with me. They could not like me. They can love me because I'm their mom. Our children love us because we're their parents, but they like me. They want to be around me. They trust me. And that is what I wanted to be able to have, their trust and their respect. Meant a lot to me.
And that's powerful, because the trust and the respect isn't automatic. It has to be earned.
Yes.
And as adults looking at our young people, are we willing to recognize we play a role in earning that from them, as opposed to making them do or interact with us in a way that we haven't actually even earned from them.
Yes.
So powerful. So I want you to tell us a little bit about the book, because I want to where did it come from and why is it here?
Okay. Well, this is the book, and it's a 31-day devotional, and it was a devotionals. I We used to do a praise team blog page on Facebook, so these were compilations, and we assigned days. So there was Mindful Monday, Trusting Tuesday, Wisdom Wednesday, Thankful Thursday, Faithful Friday, and Supplication Sunday. And I forgot what Saturday was, but I ended up with the word with Friday. I was like, Lord, for real? I was like, I don't have no faith. But that started February of 2010. And in 2018, I was like, I'm going to write a devotional. And I began to use those, and I added some. And because they were from a place of me trying to work from a place of fear to getting to a place of faith, you know, complete faith, regardless of what I'm encountering.
Yeah.
To be able to stand, and while there's a whirlwind of mess going around me, but I can stand in the eye of that storm and I can feel safe.
Mhm.
So faith, the title was Fearfully Faithless to Faithfully Fearless, because that's where I was, and it shows where I am now.
Mhm.
And it's letting your faith be bigger than your fear, because your fear will tell you what you can't do. Faith says that all things are possible with God. So since we're talking about words, there was one devotional I wrote, and it's called The Power of One Word. Day 9. I should have put the bookmark in it. But it starts off talking about anxiety, and it gives it gives the definition of anxiety. Then I go to worry and give the definition, and then I go to fear and give the definition. And I say, many times these three words drive us more than we ought to allow them,
Mhm.
and they tend to dictate how we handle most of life's issues. And then what I had to go to was a key scripture that has been key in helping me move from a place of anxiety, Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Now we know that scripture,
Mhm.
but when you begin to live God's word,
Yes.
that's the key. And then, we move from, and we stop right there, that peace part. I want the peace. But we talked about it yesterday. Esther touched on it yesterday. She said there's a list that helps us what we have to think on, because what we think dictates what we say.
Yes.
So we have to change how we think. And so in that list in Philippians 4, 8, that list consists of, we have to think on things that are true and honest, just, pure, lovely, things that are of a good report, things that are virtuous, and those that things that are praiseworthy. Those are the things that we think on. And when we begin to think on those things, it changes our thought process. And then, with the word think in that passage comes from the Greek word logizomai. And the root word from that is um, logos,
Mm.
and it means word or speech, and
Mhm.
it involves reasoning, or the mental faculty of thinking and meditating or calculating. So when I was looking at that this morning, I was like, wow, that word logos is what Jesus is described as in John 1, 1.
Mhm.
So if we think on Jesus, the word, we have a whole book, because the whole book is logos. So there's a whole book in place that teaches us how to think, to keep us going in the right direction. It doesn't mean we won't have um, times where our thinking gets faulty. I had faulty thinking this morning. I had faulty thinking yesterday, you know, but because of where I am now, at a place of standing and walking in my faith, I don't stay there anymore. God permits us those moments to kind of stay there for a minute.
Mhm.
But then he's like, all right, that's enough. Let's start moving.
It's time to
Let's
go.
work,
Mhm.
you know. And depression and anxiety will keep you at a place where I can't do. It'll keep you, because the enemy uses those as tools. And those are two of his biggest weapons that he uses against us, and we don't even realize it.
Mm.
But what is it? Who's in us is greater than him, and he is our word. God is our word. So that's how we can help to move us when our thoughts are obscured and messed up. And when we begin to think on that list, it helps to direct our thoughts and then our words, but then it also has to connect to our heart.
Yeah.
Because when our heart begins to transform, when our mind transforms, it connects to our heart. And when our heart, because out of our heart flows the issues of life.
Mhm.
Everything that's in our heart comes out. So if the right stuff is in our heart, the right stuff is going to come out.
Yes, I love that. And it's so funny because I feel like you started this whole story by saying God gave you the day that you were like, I don't have that. Lord, why is this my day? Friday? Like, no, I
Yeah.
don't have faith. And he said, my daughter, it's in you, but will you study to
Yes.
show yourself approved in it? And so he gave you the assignment in where you thought you were weak in it, but instead of running from it, you leaned in and you were obedient. And
Yes.
the power of that obedience is now a book that is feeding and fueling people.
You know,
Oh, I mean, it just blows my mind how when we are willing to be obedient, what he will do with our obedience.
yes. You know,
Love it.
and I have my brother, I'm a twin. And so I shared the blog with him this morning, and my brother and I are very close. And he sent me back a message. He said, I didn't realize just how much you struggled. He's like, and I'm your twin. He said, I'm sorry that I didn't realize. I said, it's okay. I said, God had a plan for it.
Mhm.
Because had I not gone through, and that blog is just doesn't even touch the tip of the iceberg of stuff. You were with me last year when I shared
Mhm.
something that breathe,
Mhm.
and some people's mouths fell open like, whoa. But you know what? Because I'm free, because I'm not afraid, I don't have to suppress my words.
Mhm.
I can use my words to help somebody else. And that's the key to our words. That's the key to our story. Our story consists of words that make up our life. And we have to be brave enough to share those words because somebody else is going to go through what we're going through. Max Lucado wrote a book. It's not about me.
Yes.
It's not about me.
How
And when we get out of our head,
Mhm. Yeah, and I
what
was
will I
just
say?
getting ready to say that. Like, how powerful would it be if we got out of our head and actually took the list from Philippians and physically wrote it down? What if the charge
Listen.
were from today, anyone who's listening, go to Philippians and actually write that list down of the things we are to be thinking on, and you post that so that that is what's in front of you consistently to
Yes.
shift your thought life, because your story is not just about you. If
Yes.
we could put pride down and begin to be humble enough to recognize our story is not just about us, and therefore we have a responsibility to study, to be in his presence, and to be willing to tell other people he's not done yet. He
Yeah,
wasn't done with me, and he's not done with you.
that's right.
I
You know,
love that.
that scripture, when I was still at work at Drexel, I had to put that um, on my computer. But I also put Philippians 2:14 right next to it because it says, "Do all things
One
without
thing.
complaining and murmuring." Because every day I was complaining about something every single day. I was like, Lord, I don't want to keep doing this. So I had to put His word in front. So when when I started complaining, and I'd look up and I strategically put it where I would look up and start rolling my eyes, and it was right there. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So
Bring
that's
me
what I
back.
had to think about. All right, Lord, I hear you. All right, we're gonna redirect this until the next moment. It was a constant cycle. So now, when you begin to make His word a habit, it becomes your life.
Mm, amen. So I want to talk about some practical things that you have done and are doing to be so bold and fearless to be going. You're gone back to school.
Yes.
You launched a product line. I'm like, what practical things do you do to help you step out and do the things that you love to do and are passionate in doing?
Um, one thing I do is I no longer do things without asking God's permission first,
Mm.
because I have to. I'm a very I'll just go out and do it, you know. But doing that, yeah, I look at my life and like, yeah, this is what you got, you know. But when I started thinking and spending time with Him, to listen to what He would tell me to do, and the steps, they don't always make sense, but He says it, his ways and his words and his ways and his thoughts aren't the same as mine. So I can trust His, I can't trust mine, obviously. Suffering from depression and anxiety, obviously I can't trust my thought process. So I have to trust His. And then I have to remember that He says that no weapon against me is going to prosper. So I have to remember, when the enemy begins to throw things my way, um, I may not always dodge them. They may make impact, but I have to remember, God, you told me to do this. So I have to keep putting one step in front of the other. I have to just trust you and not depend on um, my reasoning
Mhm, mhm.
and my words, you know, and just be bold. It may not make sense. Just do it. You
Yeah.
know, our passions. When I teach our new members class, and I tell people with their spiritual gifts, your spiritual gifts are usually aligned with something that comes naturally to you. We just don't see it that way.
Mhm.
People say, "Oh, people have always told me I'm a friendly person." It's like, I can see you on hospitality. When they do the spiritual gifts analysis, they were like, "Oh, that's one of my gifts." I'm like, Yeah, because it's something that comes naturally to you. I'm drawn to help women, especially between the age of 27 to 37, because those were my dark years. Not even 27. I'm sorry, 20, when I became a mom at 22. So from 22 to 37, I mean 47, that's a long time,
Mhm.
you know. But I had to get to the place, get up,
Get up.
get up,
Get up.
get up.
Yes.
Don't worry about, don't look around you. Don't listen to other voices, because there's so many voices that'll be going around you and in your head. And if you don't have the relationship that you need to have with God, you will not be able to distinguish His voice from all of the others.
Mm. Say that again.
If you do not listen and have a habit of listening to God's voice, you will not be able to distinguish His voice from all of the others around you.
And because I hear that so often, how do I know that God said to do? Did you sit with Him? You begin to know His character. You begin to know what He would say to you, how He would go. But that takes a relationship.
Yes.
Learn to hear and recognize His voice around from all of the other distractions that
Yep.
will absolutely try to throw you off your mark and off your dream.
One voice will tell you to jump, but the other one will say, you better not. And we expect God's voice to be loud and boisterous. No, because the noise around us is loud and boisterous. But His quiet voice is so strong that we can identify it out of all of that. And that's the voice that when me with me hearing His voice one day saved me.
Mm.
Not salvation wise, but saved my life.
And that hearing, and I feel like hearing it at that critical moment marked you so that you would recognize that voice every other time
Yes.
it
Yes.
showed up. Because
Yes.
it happened at a crisis moment. It didn't happen at the success moment. It didn't happen at the
No.
high. It
Mm-mm.
happened at the crisis moment. And it marked you. You heard that time and you said, I will remember that.
Yes. I remember that day. I just don't remember what I'm wearing, but I remember that day so clearly, you know. And I don't want to go into it because it's in the blog,
I know
but
y'all gotta
I,
read the blog. You gotta read the blog. The
you
link is
know,
in the show notes.
I remember that day so clearly, and and it seemed like the easiest thing to do. It really did. But that voice saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life.
Yes. You know what? I could go on and on with you, sis. And I tell people all the time, this 30 minutes flies by
Yeah,
so
I know.
fast.
It does.
But I want to just in closing, there is a sister who is watching and she doesn't feel like she's enough. And she's not sure if she's worth it or if he even sees possibility in her. What would you tell her?
I would tell her to stand. Just stand. It's going to hurt. But there is someone who knows what you're feeling, who wants to hear it. God knows what we're feeling, but tell him everything. And it doesn't have to be pretty. It does not have to be a pretty story. Yesterday I had a moment. I was like, you know what? I'd rather be dead than having to be so accessible to people. And it shocked somebody, but that's a real place for me because then I won't have to be so needed. But while it's a thought, it doesn't move any further than that because I recognize where it's coming from.
Mm.
So, to that sister who is at the place of hopelessness, speak it. Say what it is that makes you feel like there's no hope, and speak it out loud so that God can hear you. And people say, don't speak it out loud because the enemy can hear you. You know, okay, but guess what? God hears,
Oh, God.
and God is in control of the enemy. God created the enemy.
Yes.
Okay, but just stand. I had to stand in some stuff, and I had to stand for years in some stuff. But if we trust God and ask for that faith, I had to ask him, Lord, help me to be like that father and Mark that said, I trust you, God, but help the part that doesn't. Because there's a part of me that doesn't believe this. There's a part of me that doesn't, but Lord God, I know that you hear me,
Mhm.
and I know that I matter. If I don't matter to anybody else, you matter to God because you are fearfully and wonderfully and marvelously made. He made you specific and unique. There's a purpose for you. And if you take matters into your own hands, there's a life that is tied to yours. That if you take your life, then that person's life is lost.
Yeah.
And that's an encourage. And while it seems like it's a lot, but that that means that I'm I'm needed. Somebody needs me. Somebody needs me.
Yes. And need your story.
Yes.
Need your story to realize that they're not alone, that they're not the only one who's experienced something. It's so powerful. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for your obedience. Thank you for showing up. I just love it. I just love it. And so from today, uh, Kyla's story, this interview is going to be on our Fearless Story website. It's also going to be put onto the YouTube channel. So those of you who subscribe and are subscribing, we have a special package for May, June, and July For those, unless,
I'm
did you,
signed up. I'm signed
did
up.
you subscribe? All right, then. You got to go to Fearless Conversations with the Limitless God YouTube channel, and we are providing some special treats for individuals who are subscribers to our YouTube channel. And this interview is going to be placed on the YouTube channel as well as on our website. Make sure somebody who is in need of encouragement, who is at a place that they want to believe, but they may just need to hear the voice from someone else that God has used for this season. Share this video with someone. It'll be here on my feed, it's going to be on the website, and it's going to be on YouTube. There's no excuse for not sharing it. There's full access to it. We do this because I strongly believe you can have peace
Yes.
in the middle of the pieces.
Yes.
We have been set, it has already been said, we are going to have trouble. That's not going to go away. But He has given us peace to stand in the middle of it. We love you. Thank you so much for logging in. I have another surprise at 5 tomorrow. So log in at 5. Log in at 5. And most of all, for those who have your calendar, we are on day 2, and the whole focus is on words of life. What words of life are you speaking on purpose? All right, let Kyla know. I want you to fill the comments. How has her story inspired, encouraged you? Encourage her. Pour back into her. She has poured out. Pour back into her. I want to see it all throughout the feed. I love you, sis.
I love you too, sis. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Bye, everybody.